It's my tremendous pleasure to introduce Mr. Chaovalit Ekabut, who is, of course, an alumnus of AIT. He graduated in 1982 from the field of industrial engineering and management. And Chaovalit is also a graduate of Chulalongkorn University, where he studied mechanical engineering, and has, like many engineers, moved into the management field as well, and has a certificate in advanced management from Harvard University. So a very, very well qualified and distinguished alumnus. But more importantly, Chaovalit has experiences in senior management of perhaps one of Thailand's best known companies outside of the country, which is Siam Cement Group. So Chaovalit is presently the Vice President for Finance and Investment with Siam Cement, and the President of SCG Investment for Thailand. And Chaovalit is going to be talking about trends and trends and innovations. I'm sure he'll come on to investment as well, in building and construction industry in ASEAN. Chaovalit, please.
Good morning, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. It's my honor to be here and speaking to all of you in the very important event, the AIT Technology event. And of course, I'm here partly because I'm the alumni of the AIT Institute, and I'm also in the company that is very much related to the building and construction industry. I may spend about 30-35 minutes talking about the trends and innovations in building and construction industry in ASEAN in particular. And this topic of my speech probably would not be directly linked to the areas of discussion today, which is mainly focused on tall buildings and other construction technologies. But I hope that it will serve as a kind of a big picture environment, so that we all can see the development and the trends, at least in the next decade in the region. By the way, a little bit of probably advertisement. SCG is a company that already established in Thailand for 100 years. This year, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary. There will be lots of activities going on. And for example, in August, we'll be hosting a kind of event in what we call SCG Experience, so that people who are interested in the applications of building materials and construction technology can also join and see the development that we have done. I'd like to talk a little bit about our vision, because this will be related to the topics or the areas of discussion that I will bring you to. Our CEO has set out the vision of SCG. This was already closely almost 10 years ago, that by the year 2015 will be a regional market leader. The regional word here represents ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So we are very much focused our activities in ASEAN region, and we have pursued all along this area of interest. And also at the same time, we have identified another key visions or strategies that we have been pursuing, is that we are going to move towards what we call the high value added products and services. We were in basic materials for the first 90 or 95 years of businesses. And just for the last 6-7 years that we have moved ourselves so much into this high value added product and services area. This is mainly because we don't see a sustainable business platform being just a low cost producer. So we need to add more values to that. The current business of the group comprises of 3 main businesses. First one is the chemical business, and second one is cement building materials, and the last group is paper, which is mainly packaging paper. All the business that we are in, we see a very good linkage in terms of development in the region. Chemicals as of today represents about 50% of the group. And even we start with cement and also diversified it a lot into building materials. The cement building materials group today represent about 36-37% and is still growing. And paper is about the remaining portion. A very quick snapshot of the company. Last year, we registered about $13.6 billion revenue. And in terms of people, as of this year, we already have about 43,000 staff, and about almost 14,000 of which are those people working in overseas, mainly in ASEAN countries, because we did a lot of expansion acquisitions into the region. We invested almost $1 billion in Indonesia, and now we are going to build up a new cement plant in the country as well. We are going to expand more in Vietnam, where we already have about $600 million investment. Recently, we just acquired the largest ceramic tile producer in the country. And then we hope to enter the cement and building materials sector in Vietnam as well. And lastly, in Myanmar, we also applied to set up a cement plant in Myanmar and already got approval from the Myanmar government after spending quite a long time for the environmental impact assessment and also public hearings. So those are the development in the region that we are seeing, and we will continue to move forward. And I mentioned a little bit about what we call the high value added products and services. So number of people who are working in relation to this area, basically researchers, designers, those kind of people. We have more than 1,000 at the moment, spreading in all the business units that we have. And we have employed roughly about 70 PhDs in the group today. And by the way, I have to tell you that 10 years ago, we just had only 6 or 7 PhDs only. So we have changed a lot. I'll be spending a few moments talking about ASEAN. I believe many of us already know the region, but this is kind of a quick snapshot in the viewpoint of our company. Of course, ASEAN comprises of 10 countries in the region. And I think the beauty of ASEAN is that all the countries are different. Of course, we have a kind of a slogan given by the leadership in ASEAN that we have one vision, one identity, and one community. Luckily, they didn't say one currency because that may bring us into troubles like what we see our friends in Europe having that problem. But this same vision, same identity, same community is based upon certain levels and on the facts that we have diversities in the region. And diversities covers both social, cultural, and also economic development. So we'll be talking a little bit more on the economic side, but I like to remind that all the countries in the region are quite different. Of course, we have very well developed country like Singapore, which have a very high average income per capita, and then move to those countries. Like the newest country that's just opened up in the region is Myanmar, and we are seeing the development in all the areas. Yes, 10 countries nowadays, more than 600 million population, and also the GDP basically is growing quite steadily. This is why we decided to focus ourselves in ASEAN region even almost 10 years ago, because we have seen quite a robust and strong development in the region. GDP growth on the average would be around 4, 5, 6% all the time. And of course, when people talk about AEC, ASEAN Economic Community, most of the people believe that there will be a free flow of goods and services, and also a big single market, and which is true in that sense. But again, to capture the benefit of ASEAN, of course, people have to address and understand the differences in all the market. I know that you have some experience in your own country, in your market. Even you can serve one customer well in one places. When you move to another customer, there are always some differences. So in ASEAN, you will see, of course, more diversity and more differences. Yes, this is again a summary about the facts of ASEAN. Singapore, as I mentioned, the average GDP per capita is more than 60,000 US dollar, which is one of the highest in the world, because Singapore is now very advanced technology driven country. They are in financial services. They have invested a lot in the what they call the integrated entertainment complex, so that they generate lots of income from those leisure technology. And also the country, the government also promoted a lot of supporting for R&D investment, especially in the biotechnology. Brunei is a second country that have very high per capita income, but actually I think this is something that might be misleading a little bit, because the income of the country mostly comes from the oil. So the degree of income distribution might not be as evenly as other country. And Malaysia, Thailand is in the range of $10,000 per capita, which is now considered to be medium level, and hopefully we can go up. Even the Thai government has mentioned one of the key strategic policies to try to move Thailand upward and out of the middle income trap. Newer country or other country, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, of course, are all developing, and we will see a betterment of the living condition of people in the near future too. And of course, newest country like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and also Myanmar should follow. I also presented the cement consumption per capita on the right-hand side of this graph, and you will see that most of the countries in Southeast Asia still have quite low consumption of cement per capita, which is still below 500 kilograms per capita. In a well-mature, developed country, basically cement consumption per capita would be around 700 or not more than 800 once you have reached to maturity. So it means that the countries in this region still have some way to go, and we should as well. Next, I'd like to mention a little bit about some of the countries that we see clear development, and also the directions that probably I hope that this will be a good point for you to take a look and consider in the longer term of the region. Starting from Thailand, Thailand has basically, I should bring you back a little bit for the whole Southeast Asian countries. I would like to bring you back to the year 1997. Before that, during the late 80s to early 90s, the region was booming a lot, and there were some talks about Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia would become the next tiger in the region. But suddenly, in the middle of the year 1997, we faced a severe economic crisis because of too much growth in that period. Most of the countries borrows lots of money overseas, and then when economic development really didn't catch up with the debt that all the countries were engaging, so we faced the economic difficulties, and then all the currencies in the regions has to be floated. So Thailand was a country that started that problem at that time. So the very famous Tom Yam Kung crisis was named after the situation in Thailand on the 2nd of July 1997. And after 1997, until this year, I would say that Thailand, the government has never spent much money or any money in the infrastructure development except the new airport. All the rest of the infrastructure is not that major ones. The seaport that we have and all the basic infrastructure was made or invested before that. And this problem or this situation happened not only in Thailand. Indonesia is quite similar. All the infrastructure was prepared before 1997. And after the crisis, when the country was hit and Indonesia has to also give up on the currency control in 1998, the country also stopped investing in infrastructure. So we are seeing today that the traffic in Jakarta is getting much worse because all the roads that they have is not enough already with the current development. So the coming back of the governments in the region to invest in the infrastructure is very clear and imminent and very important for the region. And we believe that this need is real, and all the governments in the region will heavily invest in these areas. Starting from Thailand, of course, now we have two big projects that the government have been talking about. The water management and flood prevention project is one, and also the improvement of the logistics system of the country, mainly by the rail system, is another one. And besides that, there are lots of consideration about the roads, highways to connect all the countries in the region, starting from Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand into Myanmar and continue into India. Those kind of development are there. And particularly on the key projects of the Thai government, water management and also the logistics development, we believe these are real needs of the country. Even though there are lots of discussion, arguments in the newspapers that you can see today, but at the end of the day, we still have confidence that this project will be implemented. The debate so far has been on the details, how to implement, not on the essence that whether this is really needed or not. It seems like everyone is agreeable that this is a good project, but they're concerned about the management of the project. So I believe this will be something that move Thailand forward, especially for the railroads improvement. Well, sorry to say that Thailand has started our rail system almost, I think, the same time when Japan started. But we can say that probably we can preserve our rail system much better. So you can see all the there's the same service that just like when we started. So it's clearly we need to improve a lot. Now Thailand can utilize only 2% of logistics, economic values through the rail system. Only 2%. And probably 90% is done by the trucks. So lots of course, roads construction, lots of trucks delivery in the country. We have very good road network in the country. But in terms of cost efficiency, it's not there. So we really need a better railroad system. And with that development, we are seeing new or better urbanization in the region. There should be more hubs, cities for the those connections for the logistics system. And the urbanization in the region, income distribution to the people in the region should also improve. Another countries like the Philippines, of course, Philippines is now growing quite well. The GDP growth last year was even better than Thailand, more than 6%. And we are seeing that the government also going to invest a lot more to facilitate the living condition of the people. In Manila, the traffic also quite tough, and also they are trying to improve on them those like a mass transit system. And of course, another area that the Philippines concentrating on is on the energy power supply, because they consume more and more of the power. So the government is investing or promoting new investment in those areas. So we should see also a better development in the country. Of course, in the city, like Manila itself is already modern, but outside of Manila today is still not that great. But we are seeing future good development in the country, and within the next decade, we hope that the Philippines will be able to move themselves upward as well. Indonesia is the largest country in ASEAN, more than 240 million people today, and they are definitely clearly growing. The country really needs a lot of infrastructure simply because of the reason I explained earlier. And you will see that from the list of those infrastructure projects that we have tracked the announcement from the government, most of them would be about linking the people who live all over the places together, or the transportation area. In Indonesia, the needs for infrastructure is spread to all the sectors. Highways, road, of course, they need more. Mass transit, I just heard that they will start the first subway project in Jakarta in the near future. And Jakarta is a city that is not smaller than Bangkok, and people living around probably more than that. So mass transit would be required. And with the extension of the road network and mass transit, we believe the city will continue to expand, and urbanization near Jakarta area is there. But not only Jakarta is developed. Indonesia is a large country. They have big cities in all the big islands, and we are seeing better development as well. Seaports also is quite congested today. I heard that the government also would like to expand more. And airport, which they haven't invested yet, today is a bit old. And the major mode of transportation in the country would depend on the aviation as well. So we should see more and more development in Indonesia for the infrastructure development. In Vietnam, of course, this is somewhat a new country, And 5 years ago, we heard a lot of new development and progress in Vietnam. But unfortunately, the country also went into economic difficulties 3-4 years ago. They had to devalue the currencies many times. Latest one was in just last month, another 1%. Comparing with the 5 years ago, probably already devalue more than 35 or almost 40%. But we are seeing improvement as well. That actually currently even we consider that they are in somewhat economic difficulties. But I just went to Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh last week, and lots of infrastructure investment by the government still continue. They are building many new highways, bridges crossing the rivers, and also to support the future growth of the country. Of course, private investment somewhat slowed down, but the government spending still there. So we think that they will, of course, emerge out of the trouble in the near future. And Vietnam also have a big plan on the power project. They have already approved to set up the nuclear power plants in the country. And if they can do that, really, that will be a big advantage of Vietnam against the other countries in the region, especially Thailand, because Thailand, whatever kind of power generation you want to do, there will be people going against you. So as of today, we are facing somewhat threats in terms of power supply shortage. Myanmar is the latest country that I like to talk about. Of course, we have sent our products, mainly cement, to sell in the market of Myanmar for a number of years. And currently we have the largest market share in the country. We are seeing many good developments in Myanmar. And of course, although people are excited, but the real progress or investment in Myanmar is done not too fast, I would say, because the government also try to pay special care for all the projects that they will promote or approve. For example, our cement project that I talk about, we sent our team to did a study about almost 5 years ago until we find a good location, and we were ready almost 2 years ago, and we submit the application to the Myanmar government. When that president visited Thailand, we had a chance to meet with the president and presented our project concept to them. And the question the president asked us was only on the environmental issue, how we manage the mining and how we take care of the people around the plants. So those are the key concerns of the country, that even they want new investment, they want a country to be developed, but they are very well prepared, and they have very good people in the government to consider the projects. Of course, lots of big projects going to be developed in the country. I think many of you may have a good chance to participate in some of the activities over there as well. But for industrials, manufacturing companies, we are seeing some somewhat delay if any of you are in that field, because the country is now short of power supply. So the priority for the country would be to serve the people in the country first. And I think the Myanmar government knows this well. They are working on that with the help of other countries, Thailand, Japan. And within the next few years, they should be able to develop a better power supply system. And by then, they can support the industry. So any of you would like to enter the country now, should start by doing some marketing first. Prepare yourself for the readiness of the plan to be set up later on. Yes, I like to go quickly now on the the kind of summary that I like to bring you to this point, that when the region is growing, it's our advantage to join that growth. We are much better than our colleagues in Europe who are facing economic difficulties today. But again, we need to see the trends and the directions that we should move forward. So in our company, in SCG case, we believe we need to be innovative, and innovative products and also what we call eco products would be needed. This slide is very interesting slide in terms of R&D and innovation, summarized by World Bank. Probably it's a bit hard to see. On the x-axis is the R&D spending as percentage of GDP, and on the vertical axis is the number of scientists and engineers per million people. Some of you may try to see where Thailand is. It's not in the chart. I try to find a number. Thailand, we spend about 0.2% for R&D, 0.2% of GDP. So very close to this corner. And number of scientists per million is also about 363. Again, very close to this corner. So you can guess Thailand is still here. But that means we haven't invested in the technology that much yet. And if we invest, what will happen? This is the case of SCG, our company. In year 2004, we invested only $1 million for R&D. At that time, we had a sales of probably, I guess, around $6-7 billion. So very, very small. And the amount of the sales from the high value added products and service was just $200 million in that year. Very, very small. But with the new vision and strategy, over the years, we have invested more and more. And until last year, we already spent more than or close to $50 million, 50 times within less than 10 years. But the revenues of the product and service under the HVA category increased from 200 million to more than 4.5 billion $. So these are something that we can do. We can really do that if we focus and continue our efforts on R&D. A little bit on the products and service that we call HVA. It's mainly the products that we believe we try to address the needs of the customers. And in the building construction areas, because of the labor shortage in the region, especially Thailand, you know, the number is that we have unemployment of 0.6%. But actually, the way to calculate, if you calculate mathematically, we should have a negative unemployment, because now we have lots of foreign workers working in the country as well. So with the needs of the labor, we're foreseeing that we should come up with better products and service so that we can serve the construction works without less number of people. Some of the product service that we do would be based on solution rather than the products or the materials itself. Now we have those bathroom solution, and for example, on the very far end there, we call top hat solution. In the past, if you want to build a house, you have to count how many pieces of roofing sheets you want, and you came to buy from us. Today, you just show us your house plan. We have people to calculate and even deliver the whole top roof for your house. And now we have joined with our Japanese partner to bring in the latest technology into the region, which is the modular house. This is a house that when you want the house to be built, you talk to our people, and we have a computerized modeling design to show you. Once the design is approved, final, we manufacture the house in the plant. and then we bring the house to your site and install within 1 or 2 days. So the house will be complete, and of course you may spend another month for interior decoration. This is already started and well received in countries like Japan, but new countries around here, I think there will be more and more of needs simply because of the difficulty to find labor, and also the house also comes with the many options, many system oriented like a ventilation system where we can have a positive pressure inside the house to prevent the dust. And the last point I'd like to mention is on the environment. We also notice these needs and trends that people will be paying much attention into this area. So what we have done, we have developed what we call the SCG Eco Value label on the products that we are selling. Eco, of course, means ecology and also economy. And of course, values is the values to the customers. And since we have started to do this activity, the percentage of sales for the products categorized as eco value products increased continuously. So now we have close to 20% of sales under this group. And some of the products that I like to share with you, for example, we produce the water faucet, and the faucet that we produce is a kind of water-saving one. So for the consumers to use, they use less amount of water for the same kind of application. And other products that we try to do as well, we try to address the environmental concern and also the ecology and economic uses of the consumers. So I like to end my presentation here, and then the last slide is probably for some of you who may have companies in the stock market or may consider bringing your company into the capital market. You know, in capital market, investors look at, of course, profits, economic development of your company. But not only that, sophisticated investors now would look into the sustainable business model of your company. And the sustainable business model comprises of economic, environment, and society. Of course, you have to make profit, otherwise they would not invest in your company. But you have to be able to show that you have good concern for environment. You have spent great efforts in improving the environment that we are in, and also to support the society development. We are proud that we are chosen to join the Dow Jones Sustainability Index since 2004. And for more than 6 years in a row, we have been included in the gold class of this index. And for the last 2 years, 2011 and 12, we were ranked a global sector leader. That means number one in the category of building materials and fixture. And we got lots of good responses from all the investors in the world. So I hope that when you grow your business, please keep in mind to bear some concerns for society and also environment, and you'll be rewarded in the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khun Chaovalit. Because there are not going to be any more opportunities to ask him questions, I'll just take 1 or 2 questions from the floor, if we may.
Yeah, please.
We're very concerned about the time, so please keep your questions short and to the point and relevant to the discussion. So thank you very much. Any questions, please? No immediate volunteers, so I'll thank Khun Chaovalit and welcome colleagues to interact with him during the break. And again, thank you very much for
Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed the session.
Presentation.